Hey guys, welcome back to another Testin' with Destined. Today we have Erlang Shen, and this one's going to be a little bit different than what I usually cover. This one's going to be quick, this one's going to be concise, and I'm going to be showing you guys the area where he is the single best DPS unit in the game, and then explain why he's bad everywhere else. So it gives you kind of an idea of where he might be used, but also kind of gives some insight as to why you may not need him. So that's what we're going to be doing. Obviously, we have to start with the kit. Quickly, before I get into it, make sure to like and subscribe. It's the best way to support the channel. These videos take a lot of work, and if you want to see more of them in the future, it's the best way to support. So without further ado, let's get into it. Erlang Shen is really cool. I think it looks pretty sick. He is a DPS tank that scales off of attack. It's really weird, but it does end up working out in a couple areas of content. He is a Piercer and an Arbiter, which are two very good factions. Lady Alexandra and Pelagios already are part of those dual factions. But as a tank, that's pretty interesting. I think it's one of the first freaking Piercer legendary tanks. Kind of interesting. Now, he has AoE physical attack, ally buff, durability, and he has a arrogant Zilla 2 Ymrit type of range. With this range, he can hit air. Obviously, he's a Piercer. And he has some pretty interesting stats. He has about 23,000 HP, which is a decent amount. A little short of 5,000 attack. Remember, he scales off of it. And then we also have cost 19. Normal defenses, a little low for a tank, in my opinion. He has about a 2.6 attack interval, which is exactly what it usually is. And the rage regen stats are pretty normal. Going into the kit very quickly, he does piercing damage, and his talent increases damage reduction by 15% every 4 basic attacks if there are at least 2 enemies within the ultimate range, which is a massive range. Summons Howling Celestial Dog to attack 1 enemy within the ultimate range, dealing 90% damage and continuing to attack other enemies nearby the target. Hitting up to 3 enemy targets consecutively, Howling Celestial Dog inflicts defense reduction 30%, which is tied for the highest in the game when attacking. Now, this is not the most consistent. It does last for 7 seconds, which is good. And we have not only the damage reduction, but also a little bit of extra debuffs and damage, which is cool. I didn't really notice it too much when I was playing with him, but it definitely is interesting. Going into the rest of the kit, we have the A1, which is AoE, deals damage to up to 5 enemy targets one time, and can hit air. This is weird because it hits them all evenly, which is really weird for AoE. I mean, not AoE, sorry, anti-air arena, because he kind of attacks in a way that most heroes don't, but you'll see what I mean later. Going to the first passive, this is very wordy. Each time the Howling Celestial Dog attacks, which is every 4 basics, it will start to attack. It increases its owners, so Erlang Shen's, damage by 5% for 3 seconds, stacking up to 3 times, total of 15% extra damage. During Third Eye state, which is his ultimate, talent attacks are triggered, summoning an enhanced Celestial Dog to attack 1 enemy within the ultimate range, dealing 150% damage, and continuing to attack other enemies nearby the target for 6 enemy targets, consecutively prioritizing targets inflicted with Heaven's Gate. Heaven's Gate makes it so the bearer that has the debuff is continuously inflicted with 20% vulnerability of both physical and magic vulnerability. The invisibility is nullified during this effect, cannot be dispelled. So not only makes it so that they cannot be invisible, maybe for like Gear Dodger 2 you'll have something like this, it also makes it so that the vulnerabilities are always on, which is huge. So not only are we getting defense reduction, we're also getting vulnerabilities, which allows a lot more damage to be done. Really good. Then we get to the second passive, increases damage dealt to airborne targets by 35%. This is where we get to where he's one of the best units in the entire game for a specific thing, because in air content, he's going to rip through everything. 35% extra damage is a lot. And when the talent attacks are triggered, additionally restores 15% of the hero's HP. He has less cost in arena by 5, which makes him 14 cost. Then we get the ultimate, which is very cheap at 500 cost, 20 seconds long, inflicts Heaven's Gaze, which is the vulnerabilities, on up to 3 enemy targets in range. So that's another area where he's going to be putting that out. And it's for 3 enemies when he clicks his ult. During this effect, increases max HP by 20%, as well as attack by 20%. Each basic attack alternately deals 20% extra damage or inflicts 1 stack of radiant erosion, increases basic attack range. Very, very interesting kit. He also has a bond skill with Neja, whatever. I have a video on him, which you guys can check out. He's a lot of fun and pretty damn solid as well. But when you unlock that character, Erlang Shen is going to increase the maximum number of targets that can be inflicted with Heaven's Gaze from the third eye by 2. So a max of 5, and enemies inflicted with Heaven's Gaze deal less damage to this hero. If you're going to use him for tanking applications, is a must-have, and it's just really good all around. Going into the Awakenings, I'm not going to be testing the Awakenings. That's for you guys to get if you manage to pull multiple copies. He is Ancient exclusive. He is an Arbiter. I don't expect many people to even get a base copy, so I'm not going to go over that too heavily. The A1 during Third Eye, which is the ultimate, when an enemy is eliminated within the ult range, restores 20 rage, can restore up to 300 rage per Third Eye activation, which ends up being more than half of his rage cost. Decent A1, nothing too insane, but definitely a solid Awakening. A2 is extra attack. A3, the hero deals an extra 25% damage to targets inflicted with Radiant Erosion. This is huge for something like a A1 Valara, which is constantly putting Radiant Erosion out. That would be a huge synergy right there. And when the enhanced, so during the ultimate, Howling Celestial Dog attacks additionally inflicts 50% slow for 5 seconds. Then we get the HP additional on the A4, allowing a bit more survivability, and the A5, when taking fatal damage for the first time, gains Unyielding for 8 seconds, increases received healing by 50% during this effect, and this can only be triggered 1 time per deployment. I'm not a big fan of Unyielding being locked to Awakenings, because I know I'll never be able to access this, but it is decently good for an Arbiter tank. Now, the build that I will be using, obviously if we do some tanking, I'll build him a bit more tanky, but for this, we're going to just be building him with good Soulbound DPS gear. We're going to be using him in Arena, so we want him to be good. He also has an exclusive artifact, which increases damage by 30%, amazing, and when Hound Assault is enhanced, Hound Assault is enhanced, and when Howling Celestial Dog attacks enemies, enhances the owner's damage, and the effect can stack up to 6 times. Each stack also grants physical damage reduction and magic damage reduction for 10 seconds, making him take less damage. Now, the main areas we're going to be using him in is Arena, Gear 3, and then I'll do some rudimentary tests, but I need to show you guys how ridiculous this guy is. So, anti-air DPS is very hard right now. For those of you guys who don't know, Valara is queen. Valara, Ingrid, Pope teams are running rampant, and Piercer teams are being left behind. But what if I told you that Erlang Shen shits on Valara teams and makes Valara look like she barely even existed in anti-air? Well, that is exactly what is going to happen. Here, let me just quickly build our Yovar with some gear. The gear is solid, obviously, but it's worth putting on anyways. He's not really going to do anything, though. This is the team we're going to use. Hatsit barely does anything. She can't even get targeted because everything dies too fast. Erlang Shen, remember, does a lot more damage to air units. This is the team we're going to be using, and he also is able to be put down very, very, very fast, which is amazing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in. We're going to place him down immediately. We're not going with a Yuri start. We're not going with any start related to that. We're just going immediately down with Erlang Shen, and he is going to deal damage. So as you can see, this is kind of weird. I don't really see units do stuff like that very often, where they attack so evenly, but it's pretty cool. So we're going to get the damage out. He's going to two-shot everything. This is 550,000 BP. Obviously, if you're against those Arbiter teams, you'll be against higher BP, but it doesn't really matter that much. Now, as you can see, we have a ton of damage output. Also, this is his ult range. I didn't show it earlier, but it is one of the biggest ult ranges in the game. When I click it, the Howling Dog is going to hit, but he is not. So we're going to actually save it. And this is where we kind of lose a bit of damage. Obviously, you want Lady Alexander instead of Hatsit 10 times out of 10. Lady A is just so strong. But either way, I mean, Erlang is going to do a ton. And we're not even at the best part. So here, we're going to click Erlang's ult. We're going to be able to mark the people at the end, as well as kind of wait a little bit for them to get in his range so he can finish them off. He does so much damage. It is insane. Here, we're going to try to wait a tiny bit. Then we can click the ult. And I mistimed it. Usually, Yuri would kill this guy at the right, and we'd immediately finish it off. But unfortunately, we can't do that, so it's okay. That would be an instant clear, though. Now, we're going to just continuously deal damage, and Erlang's ult is going to come back so astronomically fast, which is kind of insane. I am going to click Yuri ult as soon as I possibly can, though, so we could use her to finish it off. Because we failed on the last round, we can do this. Otherwise, we would have Erlang Shen ulted again. Here, I think we can click his ultimate. He puts out the mark, increases damage dealt. We're going to put Valara at the top. And then he's going to just shred through the guys that spawn. Now, keep in mind, that's without a Yuri ult. If Yuri ult was there, you can finish the round immediately. I will probably do one more run after this to try to refine the timings to really show you guys. But yeah, it is insane. I also can't finish this off. I have to use Valara. I haven't really gone through this team super heavily, but you guys see the potential, right? He is doing so much damage. It is insane. And he just comes back so fast. It is insane. So here we're going to click his ult. We're going to wait a little bit. We got the marks out. We could click our Yuri ult here, and bam, everything's going to die immediately. Immediately. That is faster than the Arbiter teams by a decent margin. Of course, the timings are a bit off, so he's probably not going to come up for the final wave or the final round. But that's okay, because we're shredding through everything. Obviously, everyone's built decent. Of course, it's freaking arena. But yeah, that is... it is a lot of fun to use this guy, and he is so good. You guys might not know, but he is doing the majority of the damage. So what we can see is, look at the stats. Look at this damage! Is this not ridiculous? He's doing all of the work. Why? Well, it's because of the extra damage to air units. So let me just do one more run very quickly, and then we'll move on to some of the other stuff. But yeah, it is ridiculous what this guy does. This is no Lady A, by the way. Lady A is hard to get. Not everyone has Lady A. But if you have Erlang Shen, even at A0, you can kind of shred through everything, which is insane. So we're going to go through this. I'm going to try to refine the timings a little bit for you guys to kind of emphasize how good this guy is. First of all, Erlang Shen, once again, kill everything really, really fast. Then we place down our Diao Chan right here, swap her immediately. Then we can just do this round pretty slowly. It is a little bit slow, but that's okay. Potentially, you could do Erlang Shen second, maybe Yuri first to clear this wave really fast. I'm sure people will come up with some crazy strats. But for the most part, this is just to show him off. Going on, let's put Yuri right there. Let's click Erlang Shen ult a little bit early so we don't get the debuffs. As you can see, the dog was doing a bunch of damage there, which is cool. And it's just going to kill them as soon as they get into his range. And now we're going to get the back end of his ult. So we're going to try to click the Yuri ult a bit earlier this time, which we do end up doing. And we're going to immediately kill it instantly. That's as fast as some of the fastest Lady Alexander runs, which is kind of crazy. Hatsit's not even ulting because we can't get to a position where we can ult with her, which is unheard of for this sort of thing. Absolutely insane. We're going to just Erlang Shen ult again. Why the heck not? And we're just blazing through this content. Like, it didn't even exist. So here, more Erlang Shen stuff. Hopefully I can click Yuri ult. I should have clicked it a little bit sooner. Hopefully Erlang doesn't kill stuff too fast. And we clear that incredibly, incredibly fast. Now we still have a Hatsit ult. So if you're struggling with leaking, well, you got a Hatsit ult. There's literally nothing that could stop you, right? Here, I'm going to Valara ult because, well, I can't even ult with him because everything just instantly dies. It is so absolutely insanely overpowered. His basic attacks are clearing everything in sight, which is insane. Here we're gonna click Yuri ult, killing it just as it spawns. What the heck? It's like Valara was meta in anti-air for a short period of time. This guy comes in, becomes like the best anti-air unit ever. And then it's just like, well, sorry Valara users, you have competition now. Now, this may not dethrone her. Of course, that's to be seen. But the fact that he is so atrociously strong is insane. There's no auto issues. There's no nothing. He kills everything with his basic attacks. Is that not ridiculous? That is ridiculous. Look at this damage. Stupid. Stupid. Unheard of levels of damage. Insane. He is crazy good for that. Now, he does also work in Gear Aid 3. So I'm going to show stage 22 just because it's a showcase. Obviously, you could probably go to 23, maybe even 24 if you have Lady A. But we're going to take this and we're going to hit 22 using Erlang Shen. Now, if you have a keen eye, you may notice, here, let me just quickly grab the other Yovar's gear quickly. And nah, it's fine. We'll keep that on. Basically, the idea here is usually you want to have a Yuri, you want to have a Calypso, you want to have something along those lines to help your Silas or whatever unit you're using. But we can use Erlang Shen not only to tank, but also to kill the minions because his evenly spread high DPS attacks do atrociously large amounts of damage. So what we can do is we could just go in and dominate. Now, obviously, Kai, Alora are High Awakenings. That's just so I don't have to focus on them at all because they're not the focus. So what we're going to do is we're going to place down our Dallin just to help with a little bit of cost. Then we can put down our Silas. Why the heck not? And then we can put down our Diao-chan. The beginning's going to be the hardest part for sure. So we may need to do something like put down our Yovar right there just to kind of help. Ignore the Facebook pop-up. I have to use an emulator for test server content. We're going to put our Alora on the side. Click our Yovar ult just for a little bit of help here because we will ultimately need it. Keep in mind, Yovar's not geared at all, really, so we got that going for us. But anyways, we're going to put that in. We're going to deal the damage, and hopefully we will be okay. This is probably not the best way to start. I'm sure there's a way to start with Erlang Shen. Maybe not even use Dallin. But that's okay. We're going to leak. That's not really the focus. What the focus is Erlang. Erlang is going to gain a little bit of range on the side, and you're going to see his true potential shine. Look at this. 160k, everyone evenly. Bam, they all die. Right? That's insane. And we don't even need another platform right there. It's crazy. And that's without his ult. So his ult is not only going to increase the damage that the boss takes, putting out defense down, putting out vulnerabilities on the boss, increasing the damage that your other DPS is going to do. He also clears the minions like nothing matters, right? That is insane. He is amazing for this content. Any anti-air content, you're going to use him. Now, Alora's going to die, of course, but as you can see, we're stomping the boss. A0 Silos built decent, but not too insane. Minions didn't even get close. You just got to deal with Alora RNG or user exclusive. Gear Aid 3 has never been so easy for the lower stages. Obviously, you still need Lady A for the higher stages, and High Awakening Alora if you don't have insane gear. But Erlang was placed so much later, and he still is doing really good damage. Not the craziest showcase, but anti-air arena is definitely the main thing, but he definitely has some good potential in Gear Aid 3. Now, there's two things we gotta cover. So number one is DPS in Gear Aid 1. Because he does so much more damage to air, naturally his damage in other areas is probably going to be a lot lower. Right? Naturally, that's how it should be, right? So here we're going to put down Erlang. We're going to give him the Wings of Grace as well as the Diao-chan buff. This is stage 22, no pod. We are going to be seeing what happens. So I'm going to wait until everyone gets close, then I'm going to click auto alt just so that we can get our our Praetus Hammer in a good rotation. He's doing about 35,000 damage a hit, which is not absurdly bad. And then he's putting on the debuffs. Can you see how much difference this debuff does? 100k versus what? 40k when there's no debuffs? It's kind of big. And then you can see his dog darting in and out. It's kind of hard to see, but it is there. And his damage is not absurdly terrible, but it's definitely nowhere near the same realm. I mean, it is a massive, massive difference. Of course, we are using him with Pope as the Lord instead of Yovar, but naturally that is going to be a little bit better. He might actually do better damage than I thought. Erlang, the reason why I'm so excited about Erlang, and you guys are probably like, oh my god, he's overhyping another unit again, is because I thought Erlang Shen was going to be garbage. I read the kit, and I was like, this guy sucks. And then I realized he was, you know, one of the best anti-air killers in the game. Also, he's doing like 250k a hit. That's a lot of damage. That is not bad. For a unit that's clearly designed for anti-air, you might even find some use in other areas, right? He is surprising. He definitely overperformed my expectations. Is he the next Valara in everything? No. But if you're struggling in anti-air, or you want the Neja bond, which you should because Neja is very good, you're going to want this guy. He's really solid. This is a little bit less than half of Magda, which is not great, but it is something, especially for a tank cosplaying as a DPS. He does really good DPS. But the final thing I want to cover is how good is his tanking. The way that we're going to be testing his defensive abilities is through guild versus guild. Here I've put on a tanky set with Unshaken Will. There's other sets like Guardian, Tempered Will, etc. I'm sure I could build him maybe like a DPS with Soulbound with HP substats, and I could put him behind a different tank, but I don't want to do that because he is a tank. And he has two really good factions for GVG. Piercers are very good right now, as well as Arbiters, which are insanely good right now with Valara being out. So the formation that I have gone with is this. We have Yovar at the top, just a little bit of supplementary damage, and then Erlang on the bottom. We're just going to send a little bit. We have Lily there as well, and we're going to see how bad he dies. To me, it seems like he's more of a DPS unit than he is really a honest to goodness tank. We're going to try it anyways. We're going to bring a variety of different things, and we're going to see what happens. Here we're just going to affiliate randomly. It's not really too big of a deal. And keep in mind that my demon soldiers are crazy high levels. Axes are going to be the final test. Here, let's go in with unboosted Chompers. To start, Chompers, for you guys who don't know, you send spiders with him. He grows really big, does 100,000 damage a hit. But when he's not grown, he kind of sucks. So here, we have a built for tankiness Erlang Shen doing good damage. But of course, he is dying really, really bad. He only has like 2 hits before he dies, which isn't great. His damage is amazing, but one Chomper goes through him. Moving on, we get to Shadows. We're going to send one group of level 5 Shadows. Not the craziest affiliation. I didn't affiliate crazy. These are like a 105 Lord or something. Here, he's going to put out the debuffs, and they're just going to immediately melt like nobody's business. That's kind of crazy. He does good damage while also technically tanking. I mean, all things considered, better than I thought he would. So it looks like Shadows don't really work, but of course, if Chompers are running through your team, you can't really do much about it, right? So here, let me just make sure that we do have the tankier on. Why is he doing so much damage? I don't understand. I mean, I'll take it. Here, let's go in with the flyers. I'll send one flyer at a time. Keep in mind, we do have Lily, who's a very good GVG healer. We're going to just immediately send a flyer. We're just stress testing here. Ultimately, I don't think Erlang's really going to be a crazy defensive unit. Right there, he ults. He's actually going to put out the debuffs, which is great, do some extra damage. Not terrible. It is a level 7 flyer. We can reset and we can put 2 flyers out and then see what happens. Erlang is not a bad tank. I mean, that 15% damage resistance is good, but you guys saw the Chomper. That's an unboosted Chomper. He's not going to compare. Double Lego flyers, he is actually tanking it better than I thought he would. That is surprisingly good. Now, here's what I think about this. I think Erlang is not going to work as a GVG tank, but he will work in other content. The fact that he's built as a tank, doing good damage, which is kind of crazy, and, you know, he's holding his own, kind of. I think for other pieces of content, he may actually be a great tank, but for something like GVG, I don't think he's going to get much use as a front tank. You use him as a back tank, something like a Malvira, maybe stop some swarms and do some extra damage. That could be really good. I think, well, what are my thoughts about Erlang Shen? Erlang Shen really overexceeded my expectations. I have never gone into testing a hero with so low expectations. I thought Erlang was going to be hot garbage, a must skip unless the Lord was good. But now, I think he's really solid. Now, I'm not going to say he's Valara level or he's insane like some of the other ancient exclusive like Ardea or whatever. And ultimately, normal banner heroes, unless they're Valara level, are never going to be things that I recommend you guys pull on, because there is no normal banner lord, no normal banner hero. Pity, right? So if the Lord is good with Erlang on it, you must pull in this banner because Erlang's really solid. If it's not a good Lord that you want, you can skip him. I think he's one of, if not the best, units in anti-air arena. I think he is incredibly good in any content that requires hitting air. So if like Gear Raid 3, he's really good. You use him as a tank, use him to clear the minions, you use him as boss damage. All of that in one. Insane, right? And his damage otherwise, built as a tank, his damage was not bad. Even built as DPS, his damage was not the worst. He's definitely the strongest DPS tank because he doesn't scale off of HP, he scales off of attack. And I think he is really solid. So I think he's a good unit. I will be going for him most likely. And I really enjoyed playing around with him. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Destined signing out.